Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina, the #1 club in the universe. Yay, Toshi! My name is Michael Stanzak, and I'm humbled and honored to serve as your 67th president. We have an exciting meeting planned today with Sarah Strommen, Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, as our featured speaker. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here live in person and for those of you that are joining us on Zoom. Our member spotlight today starts with our former president, Sam Thompson. He writes, finally got to go down to Macomb, Illinois to see our new grandson. Here are the details. The photo has Murray with her daughter and son-in-law's golden doodle. I guess that's Murray on the left. Kim, his wife, Nate, his son-in-law, Ray, their daughter, and their new grandson, Remington, or as they call him, Remy. And I'm holding her other daughter's golden doodle puppy, Macy. Remy was born July 11th, 2021. He weighed in at 6 pounds, 6 ounces, and he's 19 and a half inches long. Sam's daughter is 5'9", and his son-in-law is 6'8", so we expect a big kid. He also writes, first-time grandparents is everything we have heard. So much joy, the dogs seem to be more work than the baby. Well, let's hope that keeps up. Our next member spotlight is on Sutton McGraw. Sutton's Advanced Cleaning Service received a recognition as a 2021 Top 15 Business Office Cleaning Services in Minneapolis. Way to go, Sutton! Yeah, baby! Rotary in the News, a friendly reminder of our District Zone Institute meeting in Houston that our former District Governor Tom Gump is putting on, and something tells me Catherine is going to be there as well. Is that right, Catherine? Where are you, Catherine?
She's over there.
Oh, Catherine's over there. And also our member Dr. Sita Dash helped to finance a portion of it. Thank you. Lindsay Smaka, our fellow Rotarian who heads up the Edina Rotary Global Scholars Program, we have 61 students signed up for it this year, is looking for help. I'm looking for help too, trust me. Specifically, what she's looking for help in is people that might want to host an international exchange student that's going to be at Edina High School this year. And she's also looking for Rotarians who would consider being a mentor to the students in the program. So if you can help out that way, reach out to Lindsay. And one other thing, if you're not familiar with the program, and I wasn't that familiar with the program, if you have time, go to edinasglobalscholars.org and check out the capstone programs and plat that the students did last year. Good stuff. We have the opportunity to help out with the Rotary Club of North Minneapolis by going on Saturday, August 7th at 1 o'clock and drinking beer. Imagine that, Mark, drinking beer. We could help out by visiting 3 breweries in North Minneapolis, and the funds that are raised or support local community projects sponsored by the Rotary Club of North Minneapolis. We have some birthdays left this month. We have a lot of birthdays. Bob Perkins, John Mazzaro will be introducing our speaker, Bill Malota. Ed Bather's got a big birthday. Dick Teagan, I think, just celebrated 90 years old. Way to go, Dick. We also have a bunch of anniversaries. As you can see, Dan Hallberg, Brad Hepp, Barty Cooper, Dr. Bruce Templeton, Hannelore, Ted, Doug, Bridget, and our newest member, Chris, are all celebrating Rotary anniversaries. As it's been said, Matt, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a lot of volunteers to put this meeting on. So thank you, Frank Cardarella and Mike Callis, for being greeters today. Thank you, Dr. Sharon Chandler and Becky Mikowski for working at the front desk. Thank you, Ryan Wilson or Scott Blake for being a Zoom greeter. Jerry Norton will be leading us in the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the 4-way test. Kip Peterson will be introducing our guest. John Mazzaro will be introducing our speaker. Matt Bookmeyer will be thanking our speaker.
Hello, how are you?
There he is. Katie Campbell is taking pictures. Thanks so much. And Ryan, thank you for being here with all your AV support. If you're able to, please rise for the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the 4-way test.
Bring about what you think about. How we approach the challenges of life determine the kind of person we become. If we ponder on negative things, our frame of thought and mind soon turn to pessimistic and negative thoughts. If we fill our mind with positive and uplifting things, the opposite will occur, and we will begin to see the world as God sees it. He wants us to be transformed into people who love to please Him through willing obedience. The transformation begins with the mind and transcends into the attitude of gratitude. And this is reflected in Philippians 4:8, where it says, "Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are good report, if there's any virtue, if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on those things." That fits within a lot of the Rotary four-way test as well. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Of the things we say and do, is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? It will be beneficial to all concerned.
Good afternoon, everyone. Short list today, so I'll certainly call your name. Please stand up and introduce your guest. Michael Stanzik, you've got a guest, Matthew Bennis.
I do. Matt Bennis is right there. He's a longtime friend of our family. He's an up-and-coming financial planner. You know, we need financial planners in our club, right? He loves the great outdoors. He wanted to come here, Sarah. One thing that most people don't know, he and his family make maple sugar at the Sugar Shack, and they've done that for as long as he's been around. It's maple syrup. He's a rock star. Thanks for being here.
Welcome. Scott Neal, another one of our public servants, as a guest. Please introduce Brian.
I want to introduce Brian Olson. Brian is the Public Works Director in Edina, and according to the National Research Center headquartered in Boulder, Colorado, he runs the most highly rated municipal snow removal operation in America. All right.
Brian, can you get the snowplow driver to push it onto my neighbor's side of the street? Thank you. We do have one visiting Rotarian, Kurt Manicky. Could you stand up, introduce yourself, tell us what club you're from and your classification?
Oh, hi. Thank you for your hospitality and welcoming everybody. I'm with the Rotary Club of Northville in Northville, Michigan, and I do some of their PR. But thank you. I'm really impressed with your club. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Kurt. And I also note Matt Bookmeyer is here. Welcome, Matt.
I'd like to thank all the little people.
As I said earlier, we need your help, and there are three things that are up there specifically, and I'd like to just take a minute and go over each one. So obviously everyone is aware of the PowerPoint presentations that we have for our meetings, and probably everyone is aware of my lack of ability. Ryan's laughing, yes, it's true. And so we're reaching out to see if there's someone that could maybe spend a couple hours a week helping to get our PowerPoint presentation together. The good news is we do have a pretty good format that we work with, and we just need to kind of fill in the relevant information, so it shouldn't take too long. And rumor has it I'm fun to work with outside of the Rotary meeting, so if you're able, if you're willing, if you've got an hour to 2 hours you could spend a week to help me get the PowerPoint presentation for our meetings, see me. The second thing we have is the gala, which is coming up in just over 2 months. And our chairs, Jody, Paul, and Kayla, have been working tirelessly, but they need worker bees. And that could be whatever you want to do. It could be with decorations, it could be the day of. But please, if you have any interest in helping out with the gala, reach out to either Jody, Paul, or Kayla. And then the last thing, which Kip pointed out we're just kind of gearing up for, is Camp Enterprise. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Camp Enterprise, it's a 2.5-day entrepreneurial workshop for high school juniors and seniors across the state of Minnesota. They're given a case study, and they work on their case study, and they make a presentation to venture capitalists to see if they get their company funded on Saturday morning. So it takes a lot of people to do this. We need essay readers, Gordy. We need venture capitalists. Anyway, if you have any interest in that, it says Mary Brundle, but you can certainly reach out to Rob Bretting, who offered to be the conduit of any interest in helping out with Camp Enterprise. So hopefully people can help. I'd like to call to the podium Carlin Padacci. No, I'm not pronouncing it right, Carlin, I apologize. Come on up. Padiacci, who's just going to talk a minute or two about our vocational happy hour that's happening live next Wednesday. Come on up.
Thanks, Michael. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'm always trying to match Michael with the colors every week, so.
You look better.
Thanks. Well, good afternoon there, and I hope everybody's enjoying their lunch today. My name is Colin Pediacci. I'm a business and estate planning attorney, and I will be speaking next week, Wednesday, at CW's. And I would like to talk about my story, my journey coming here to the United States, also why I became an attorney, why I started my own law practice, and hopefully provide some useful and valuable information to the type of work I do. So I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday at 6 p.m. at CW's. Thanks.
Thanks, Carlin. Keep working me on your last name. I'll get it down. Well, I'd like to take a moment and invite my dear friend and fellow Rotarian, Bill McCreevy, up to the podium. Bill is an amazing guy. He has such a heart for service. He's incredible. I mean, his time that he's given, his talents that he's given, and he always answers the phone unless he's in a funeral or in the bathtub. He's amazing. He is, and I've had the pleasure of getting to know Bill, and we've done a lot of fun things together. And a rarely known fact, I think most people know that he's a very accomplished drummer and he's written his own music, which is pretty exciting. But what most people don't know is that every year he goes to the National Funeral Home Convention in Las Vegas. And do you know what he does, Toshi? He tells jokes and he wins money. But we're not here to hear his jokes, maybe some other time. We're here to recognize him because he is a major donor too, and he has given over $25,000 to the Rotary International Foundation. So without any further ado, my dear friend and fellow Rotarian, Bill McCreevy.
Oh, very kind. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Oh, no, thank you. It's an honor to be a part of this, for sure. So, thank you very much. Please be seated. Yeah, this won't take any more than about 30 minutes. So, thank you, Michael. You're very kind. You know, Michael and I have gotten to know each other really well, going on ski trips, golf trips, you know, driving in the car. Like John Barnett here, you know, he's also one of the cronies that we hang out with. So, thanks very much for this great honor. And let me just say that I know I was supposed to just say a couple of words about why I do what I do. Michael mentioned the 3 T's, time, treasure, and talent. And I know that my friends here, all of you would know there's not a whole lot of talent to offer. So that brings it down to the 2 T's, and that would be time, and time is a difficult thing for me to come up with as well. So maybe the one that's left is treasure, and I do feel like we need to step up. It comes down to really 8 words. To whom much is given, much is expected. I've been very blessed. My family's been very blessed. There's no question, everybody in this room, we are very blessed. And so whenever we can give back, you know, there's an expiration date for every one of us. In my profession, I probably know that pretty well. And when that expiration date comes up, I want to make sure that my life did something more than, you know, just had a great time and a lot of fun and everything else. I want to make sure that I've helped other people and that something else lives on. And that's why the philanthropic part of Rotary is just really nice, because that way you know that that your money and your treasures are going to a very good source. And so we appreciate everything that everybody does, and we want to keep it going and keep it going strong. Thanks, Michael.
Crystal?
You are so kind.
Crystal in your pen.
Thank you, Michael.
You got it. So briefly, just in case you didn't know, October 2nd, Fred, is it. It's the gala. It's Let's Dance. It's going to be awesome. The band is High and Mighty, which is a 70s to 80s dance band. We're going to have a lot of fun. And of course, the goal is to raise money that we give away locally and internationally. And we have a big surprise coming next week for a TikTok video, but for this week, in honor of Dusty, the bass player from ZZ Top, who passed away yesterday. You might hear that music at the gala. Who knows? We're gonna have all kinds of music setting. It's fun.
That was beautiful. That was really great.
So past President Josh Sprague could come up to introduce our newest member. We would greatly appreciate it.
Afternoon, everybody. Are you still offering Rotarians a free test drive of a coffin of their choice every Saturday? Is that still on the table? Check back in 40 years. Okay, I'll do that. It's now my great pleasure to induct Chris Leskowski as a new member. Would you like to come up? You can't come up. All right. Well, this will be the first time we've ever had someone sing. Oh, come up. Okay. Yes. Oh, I can come to you, but then no one will see you. So Chris and I met in such a great circumstance. I knew Chris from some of his work at the city of Edina, and then I asked Jennifer, my year's president, who should I get who would be great for video production? And of course she said Chris, who had done a lot of work with the city, here. And I got to know Chris that entire year, and in the adversity of the pandemic is when I really got to know Chris's character, as we both, within 1 week, kind of figured out how to transition a club from live to virtual in a new construction studio that I just happened to have at that moment. And Chris and I learned together. This guy's a master of multimedia, but we learned together, and it was just so great working with you. You have such a great attitude, and you're such a generous and giving person. So with that, as past president of the Rotary Club of Edina, and on behalf of our entire membership, we welcome you as a new member to our club. Please join us in the friendship that we share and in the passion that we hold for projects that make our community and the world a better place to live. Rotary is an organization of business and professional people who desire to uphold high professional standards in their vocations. As an employee, as an owner of C-Vision Productions, your classification will be multimedia production. Please get involved by joining one of our many committees. By doing this, you will get to know more of our membership, and you will find the true value of Rotary's motto, service above self. At this time, I'd like to present you with the Rotary pin.
I guess the best part about me doing the video is when I go back to edit it and put it on YouTube, I will just cut this whole part out. Oh, yeah. I should know that part, right? Sorry, I have to have notes because I'm not very smart, not very bright at all. Introducing myself, my name's Chris Leskowski, of course. I was born in Hastings, Nebraska in 1969. My family moved up to Rapid City, South Dakota a year after that. I was raised in Rapid City, graduate of Rapid City Central High in 1988. I love the Black Hills, still consider it my home. Unfortunately, I don't have any friends that live out there, or family that lives out there anymore, but I still have several friends. So we make it out there at least once or twice a year. So it's it's a place I love. I miss it dearly. Even though Minnesota is now my home, I still consider South Dakota my home. I lived in Sioux Falls for a couple years in the late 1990s, where I met my wife at a TV station. She was the 10 o'clock news producer. I was the evening news videographer. Yes, we were an office romance, and it worked. In TV, you don't get out much to socialize, so that's, kind of leaves you pretty limited on who you meet. This is my family. Stephanie, of course, on the left, and she is the Community Services Director for the City of Coon Rapids. She's a graduate of Anoka High School and St. Cloud State University. My two daughters, Abby on the left, she is 18, almost 19. Her passion is dance and the outdoors. She graduated from Anoka High School this past spring with her diploma and her 2-year college degree, which I very much appreciate because that saves me a lot of money. She will be beginning her junior year to study animal science and veterinary medicine at the University of Minnesota this fall. Hannah on the right, she is 16. She'll be a junior at Anoka High School. Her passion is theater and swimming, and she is also a member of the Anoka swim team. My two fluffy standard poodles, Yogi, who is 8, he's my 60-pound lap dog. He will lay on me, whether it's summer or winter. He is my almost human, half human electric blanket. And then Patch, who is 7, he's kind of the goofy one on the right. I'm a video producer, been in the video business since I was high school, starting as a production assistant at a TV station that my dad worked at as a sports director. He influenced me to be in this industry, except he was in front of the camera. I like to be behind the camera. From there, I went to Bailey School of Broadcasting in Denver, Colorado. I worked in TV up until 1998, then worked for a couple other video production companies before going full-time with my video business in 2002. Did I go backwards?
Yeah.
I think I did. Oh, I go down. That's right. You said that, didn't you, Michael? Come on. Don't leave me hanging. All right. I have several hobbies and interests. Of course, both of them involve a camera. I love taking photos and videos of trains. That's been a passion of mine ever since I was a little kid. Since my mom grew up in Grand Island, Nebraska, which is a huge railroad town. In fact, one portion of my business is producing video documentaries on railroads across the United States. To date, I've produced over 200 videos that I sell to railroad hobby enthusiasts across the world. The other is photographing wildlife. My favorite, obviously, is bald eagles. We make an annual trek down the Mississippi River every year to go down and check out the eagles. Some years are great, some years stink, but the last couple were pretty good. Another favorite thing of mine to do is take the off-road trails in the Black Hills with my Tacoma. Just kind of nice to get away from civilization and be away from people. Sometimes, not all the time, just sometimes. Why do I want to become a Rotarian? Really, it's for what Rotary stands for. And really, Bill McCreevy just said it too, and I'm just going to echo what you just said. It's time for me to step up. I'm 52 years old, had a really great life, not expecting to go anytime soon. Sorry, Bill. But the past couple years, being a part of this club as a contractor, I just become more, acquainted with everybody. You guys are not just Rotary Club members, you're friends, and I don't consider this the Rotary Club of Edina, it's more of the Rotary family of Edina. Each and every one of you has inspired me to be a part of this club. The great things you do, the wonderful people you are, I just felt that I need to be a part of this. And to now be able to help out with this and be a member, I am deeply honored. So that's about all I have. Again, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this great club. I look forward to joining many committees and doing what I can to help. So thank you so much.
Chris, we're so glad you're part of our family. We appreciate all you do. Thank you so much.
Now I can eat my cookie.
And I may left.
John Mazzara has lived in Edina for the past 35 years. He has a lovely wife, Patty, who works at Wells Fargo, 2 college-age kids at St. Scholastica, pursuing nursing, and 2 hunting dogs that he takes pheasant hunting whenever time permits. Fishing is truly his passion, and fish fear him wherever he goes. John is a real estate broker associate with Remax Results in Edina and has sold over 1,000 homes throughout his 35-year real estate sales career. And he's the only person I know whose wife has shot a 300-pound black bear. Please welcome my friend and fellow Rotarian, John Mazzara.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure today to introduce Sarah Strommen. Sarah is our speaker today, and she was appointed by the Governor Tim Walz on January 7th, 2019. Formerly the DNR's Assistant Commissioner, she now oversees the DNR staff of about 2,700 people located in St. Paul and around the state with the mission of working with Minnesotans to conserve and manage the state's natural resources, providing outdoor recreation opportunities, and providing for the commercial use of natural resources in a way that creates a sustainable quality of life. Prior to coming to the DNR in 2015, Ms. Strommen served as Assistant Director of the Board of Water and Soil, BWSR, before becoming the Acting Deputy Director. She previously served as the Policy Director for Friends of the Boundary Water Wilderness and as an Associate Director of the Minnesota Land Trust. Strommen holds a bachelor degree from Grinnell College, where she majored in biology and Latin American studies. After graduating from college, she used a Fulbright Research Scholarship to do fieldwork in Costa Rica and subsequently earned her master's degree in environmental management from Duke University. She served several terms on the Ramsey City Council and was elected mayor in 2012, a position she stepped down from in May of 2018. She is an avid outdoors person, spending family weekends fishing, hunting, snowmobiling, camping, and hiking. Please welcome Sarah Strommen.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I just have to say, I so appreciate this invitation to be here with you all today. And I think this is only like the second in-person meeting I have done since March of 2020. And so it's really nice to be here in person and to get to have some live conversation. But I also have to say that it's kind of special for me personally that I get to do this at a Rotary meeting. My grandfather was a very dedicated Rotarian during his life, and he was very active until his death in 1993. And he was incredibly proud that he both served as a district governor for Montana and helped start a new chapter for Tacoma North in Tacoma, Washington in the 1980s. So I grew up knowing that Rotary was a really good and important organization in community, and so I'm really pleased to be with you here today. So what I wanted to do was just provide a little bit of a snapshot of the last year and a half, because one of the things that I came into this job really wanting to focus on was connecting Minnesotans to the outdoors and strengthening those connections. And over the past year and a half, we've seen this incredible transformation in people's connections with the outdoors as many Minnesotans turned to the outdoors to deal with the stress and anxiety. And so I want to talk a little bit about what we've learned about how much our outdoor spaces and our natural resources mean to Minnesotans, and talk a little bit about how the DNR has responded to that trend and what we've seen, and also how we've through that forged a vision for the future. And I really focused on what I think is an exciting vision for the future of our outdoor recreation and conservation and natural resources. So I have to say this is like one of the first times where I don't have to say this event looks a little bit different, right? Because we're all in person. And I'm just reminded that the whole last year and a half, I can't count the number of times I said this looks a little bit different, our work looks a little bit different, this gathering looks a little bit different, my office looks a little bit different because it's in my house or my kitchen table. And so, I think it's probably that's sort of the theme for the last year and a half, and I think we'll forever remember it as the year when everything looked a little bit different, and including natural resources. And there were certainly some things that were beyond different. They were frankly really difficult, and somebody before lunch here asked me, what has been the biggest challenge? And I have to say, frankly, the last year and a half, figuring out how you get an agency of 2,700 people to move out of their offices into their homes, how you get people to continue to do the really important work that we do in the field, whether that's wildlife or fisheries management, or that's serving people at Minnesota state parks. But we still had a job to do to serve Minnesotans, and so there were a lot of really difficult moments. We moved our offices, many of us also moved our kids' classrooms into our homes. We learned to social distance, and we learned to do meetings over many different platforms. So I do Teams, Zoom, Skype, although Skype has been turned off, WebEx, and I can never find the mute button because it's never in the same place on any of those platforms. So I'm still learning how to find the mute button. We witnessed, and I think we were shocked at the killing of George Floyd and the civil unrest in our communities that followed. And we began, in no matter what area of public service we're in to start to tackle hard conversations about racial equity. And these conversations, I think, really translated into new commitments to address social equity in our work, even in the natural resources field, and maybe especially in the natural resources field. So at the same time, despite all these difficulties, I think we also saw a lot of resilience in Minnesotans. We saw a lot of strength, and that created a lot of opportunities. We saw it in our education system, how our teachers and our parents adapted to online learning. We certainly saw it in the healthcare arena and in the state's response to COVID-19. We had Minnesota really quickly became a leader in providing testing and vaccination. And we saw it in our natural resource space as our staff at DNR found ways to serve Minnesotans who were desperately needing to get out of their houses and find some safe and healthy activity in the outdoors. And I think that this phenomenon that we saw really brought us new opportunities to connect Minnesotans to the outdoors and really focus on that key goal that I came into this job with. So a few of the ways that we saw this: we sold more hunting and fishing licenses. We welcomed more visitors to state parks, trails, and waterways, and we answered more requests for information. We also, at that same time as we were serving more people using the outdoors, we continued our work on high-profile regulatory projects like the Line 3 and Bridge Pipeline and Polymet Mine. We found new ways to engage the public. We helped maintain public safety, and we successfully attended to all of the other day-to-day work that we do and then upon which Minnesotans rely. And I think importantly, we also launched some new efforts to make our workplace and our work that we serve, the programs that we provide, more inclusive and equitable. And I think what's really incredible is that our DNR staff not only adapted much of our work to be COVID safe and to make sure that we were following public health guidelines, but at the same time, they actually advanced new work. They created new projects. They invested in new efforts. And so I want to highlight just a few of those efforts here because I'm just incredibly proud of the work that our agency has done during this time and the platform that it creates for the future for our outdoors and natural resources in Minnesota. So in 2020, the DNR and Explore Minnesota launched the Minnesota Outdoor Recreation Task Force. And this task force brought together a diverse set of outdoor recreation stakeholders and interests to foster measured growth, equitable access, and a higher quality of outdoor recreation opportunities. Really, the goal was to recognize Minnesota as a leader in the outdoor recreation industry and ensure that we were applying the tools and the resources and the talents to keep our position there. The task force came up with a series of recommendations that focus on equity, diversity, and inclusivity in the outdoor recreation community, uniting Minnesota's outdoor recreation community, so taking the folks that are involved in motorized recreation or kayaking and bringing them together and into one outdoor community, and then sustaining this collaborative effort through establishment of an outdoor recreation office. Now, I don't know if we're going to establish the office, but their recommendations have created a really good platform for continued partnership between those private entities in the outdoor recreation industry, Minnesota DNR, and Explore Minnesota. And so we're looking at ways to implement those recommendations. Also, with more Minnesotans engaging in the outdoors, and let me tell you, that trend has not slowed one single bit, DNR stepped up to support them. And again, at a time where we weren't in our normal spaces, but Minnesotans were out and about. Our parks and trails staff assisted many more visitors, and they're still doing that, with visits up as much as 65 to 100% above recent averages. Our information center, which is a one call, you can call and you can get any information about DNR issues. They will triage and get you to the right place. They answered more than 100,000 calls and emails from the public, and that's a double-digit increase over the prior year. It just was amazing how many people were using that resource. We worked with the Minnesota Department of Health to create and issue outdoor recreation guidelines to help people enjoy their activities safely. We updated that guidance as the circumstances around the pandemic changed, which it did frequently. And we launched a hashtag Be Good Natured social media campaign, because one of the things we recognized was with so many more people in the outdoors, there can sometimes be more conflicts about different types of use and people sharing the same space. And so we want to remind people that we want to encourage people to use the outdoors, but remind them to be respectful of our natural resources and each other, and be good natured. So you can check that out if you're a social media person. We also help people understand the strong ties between our work and the quality of life in Minnesota. And this is really about enhancing our public engagement and soliciting people's insights through a variety of public engagement opportunities. So just a couple examples. Over the past year, it's taken a little bit longer because of COVID, we have been working to update our 20-year-old wolf management plan. And anybody who's an outdoors person or knows that wolf management is not an uncontroversial topic. There's a lot of passions around wolf management, and so in updating this plan, as the federal government delisted, we brought together a diverse group of technical experts, tribal coordination. We created an advisory committee of citizens, and we did extensive public engagement beyond that. Our input included a survey about Minnesotans' attitudes toward wolves. It included online information, just static on our website, and we also did webinars and virtual public open houses. Virtual public open houses have been one of our staples over the past year. We drew more than 1,700 people at those virtual public open houses and webinars. And in our online comments, we had more than 4,500 responses, just an overwhelming amount of interest. And I think one of the things that we've learned is when you can use some of those technologies to reach out to more people, you can actually get more input than you might have gotten if people had to get in their cars and drive and attend a meeting in person. We've also framed up a new planning initiative for our wildlife management areas. For you hunters out there, you may have realized that our wildlife management areas are one of the few types of outdoor areas that we manage that don't have an opportunity for public input into the management plan. Our state parks, you can go see the management plan. Those are created with public input. We have lake management plans where the public gets to input. We haven't done that with our wildlife management areas. And so we're working on a process to create a planning framework so that Minnesota's hunters and other recreationists who use those areas can help provide input in how we should manage those into the future. We've enhanced our efforts to create equitable and inclusive outdoor opportunities, as well as an inclusive and equitable workplace. Again, as I've said, these have been a focus of conversation since George Floyd. And we're really looking at ways to make our facilities, our lands, as well as our engagement processes and programs more welcoming and accessible. So this is everything from looking at our state parks, and we have a pilot at William O'Brien to create a more accessible for people with disabilities experience in our parks. So looking beyond just making our bathrooms and parking lots ADA accessible, but making sure the whole park experience can be experienced by someone with physical disabilities. We also, just this last spring, as part of the Governor's Fishing Opener, launched another social media campaign using the hashtag MyMNOutdoorAdventure. And the goal of that really is to create a platform to highlight the diversity related to Minnesota's outdoors. So the diversity of opportunities, the diversity of lands and waters, the diversity of experiences that people have in the outdoors, and the diversity of people who use our outdoors and natural resources. And so we have a place on our website where we invite people to submit photos and stories of them using our outdoors, and then we can feature those stories and photos to, again, highlight the diversity of our opportunities and the people who use them. We also obviously focus on waters, right? Protecting the waters is in Minnesota so intertwined with our state's identity, and so we continue very closely to try to address issues like aquatic invasive species. We have worked with partners on this. So one of the things we did last year, we work with the Minnesota Aquatic Invasive Species Research Center at the University of Minnesota and University of Minnesota Extension to get volunteers to help go out and look for new infestations of starry stonewort, which is a very concerning new aquatic invasive species that we want to keep out. And it's called Starry Trek, and it's a great way for volunteers to help us get some of that work done. And in 2020, they did find a new water body, Lake Carnelian, that unfortunately did have starry stone work, but they were able to mobilize those local partners and volunteers and actually do some hand pulling of it to try to get rid of it. So I think it's a great example of some of the things that we can do together when we bring in other partners, whether they be state entities, non-governmental organizations, or just volunteers. We also continued our work to protect Minnesota's pollinators. And in January, we unveiled the first new critical habitat license plate since 2015. Hopefully some of you have seen it. It is a beautiful pollinator plate featuring the rusty-patched bumblebee, which is Minnesota's state bee, and the purple prairie clover. That's a tongue twister for me, so I have to slow down when I say that. And so it's really exciting. I know it's been exciting for me to start seeing those on vehicles around the state, and it's a great way that people can not only help our pollinators, but help our habitat all across the state as well. And then climate change, of course, and here we are in the middle of a drought, which I know is bringing sort of climate issues to the fore of many people's minds. And you know, this comes after many years of flooding. I spent the first 2 years of this job talking to people about too much water, and now I've spent the last few months talking about not enough water. So that, there you have it. But one of the things that we've initiated is, first of all, we house the State Office of Climatology, so we have really good data and information that we both collect and disseminate. And one of the things that we're looking to do with that is actually create an online portal for future climate scenarios, and it's downscale data so that communities who are looking to do climate future planning and thinking about how they need to plan for resilient infrastructure will actually be able to have that data for the first time in a publicly accessible format. So that's going to be available later this summer. We've also started thinking about integrating climate into our land acquisition work. So when we think about where we're going to acquire land and then obviously how we're going to manage it, we've started thinking about connections to create resiliency across the landscape. We've started thinking about carbon storage on those lands, and we're actually starting to develop a tool that will allow us to actually measure carbon storage on our grasslands and forest lands, and so that as we make different management decisions, we can actually understand how that will affect the amount of carbon that we're storing in greenhouse gas emissions that we can offset. And the last thing I'll mention about climate, because I think this is really exciting, the legislature just approved a new investment in the state's forest nursery up at Bedura, and this is a long-standing investment that the state has had, and this is a really cost-effective way to invest a little bit more money in that facility to expand capacity so we can grow more trees, so we can plant more trees. And planting trees is a really cost-effective and easy way to offset greenhouse gas emissions. So we're excited about that investment in our state forest nursery. I mentioned line 3, so on the regulatory front, that work did not slow down for us, and you know, there's line 3 is very present in the news right now, particularly given the spot they're in their construction and with the drought. And I think, you know, this project is just really indicative of the regulatory work that we do in Minnesota. There are very wide-ranging perspectives on these projects across Minnesota, and we understand that very deeply. Our work in the regulatory arena is really to ensure that potential impacts of proposed projects on Minnesota's natural resources are minimized and that proper mitigation is established for significant impacts that cannot be avoided. My role is not to decide if I like the project or don't like the project. Our role really is to look at those potential impacts and make sure that they are minimized or mitigated. And so following the Public Utility Commission's decisions approving the Line 3 pipeline replacement project and determining the route, which was their role, we conducted our regulatory review of certain aspects falling within our purview. So that was endangered species takings, that was water impacts, crossing of state lands, and we did conclude that with the conditions that we put in each permit and license, the impacts could be appropriately minimized or mitigated, and that the project did meet applicable state standards. So again, that's really our role, and we understand, again, we're hearing a lot of the passions around that project, and so I always like to remind people what our role in that is. And then finally, I would be remiss if I didn't highlight the effort we put in as a DNR to public safety this last year and the priority we placed on that. Our conservation officers are licensed peace officers in the state of Minnesota, and so they respond to whatever situation they are called to respond to. And they always do that with the utmost dedication to their profession and to the resources as well as to the people that we serve. The situations that they responded to over this past year and a half have really become more varied than ever before, I think, in the history of our conservation officer force. They supported civil unrest in St. Paul and Minneapolis. They safeguarded the Capitol during concerns around the inauguration. And they have been working closely with local law enforcement around the Line 3 to ensure that people can peacefully exercise their First Amendment rights and ensure that communities and workers and demonstrators are all safe. So this is in addition to all of their more customary work that they do out making sure that people are safe on our lands, safe on our waters, that they're following fish and game regulations. And so I think this is another, first of all, great testament to their dedication. It's something that people don't normally think of with DNR, but it's also, I think, a good example of really the partnership and the value that DNR provides to the state of Minnesota as a whole. So the last thing I just wanted to talk about was a little bit then looking forward. So that's kind of what the last year and a half has been like at DNR. So going forward, and this is what I often tell my staff, that with all this stuff going on and some really hard things, it's sometimes difficult to see the opportunities in front of us. And particularly now, we're in the middle of a drought, so our waters folks are in charge of implementing the state drought management plan. We have extreme wildfire threat. Our forestry division is the state's main wildfire response force. So we have a lot going on, and our folks are doing just a ton of work right now. But I think that there are really some exciting opportunities for natural resources going forward that kind of come out of these challenges. And one is, I think, that sometimes these moments of adversity sort of give us new appreciation for things that we might have previously taken for granted. And one of those, I think, is really the newfound interest in and trust in science. And so we obviously, in a public health arena, have science taking a forefront in the development of testing, the development of vaccines, and thinking about how different public health disease transmission affects how we live our daily lives. And DNR, that really resonated for us because we are a very science-based organization. We have a lot of technical experts and folks with deep science expertise, and so we're really working to deepen that science as the guiding force for our work, whether it comes to fisheries or waters or wildlife or other natural resource management. I think we're also really seeing in this moment the value of coming together across disciplines and sectors to solve complex problems. And again, if you look at Minnesota's response to COVID-19, it was a very strong partner effort between various government agencies, academic institutions, private businesses, and healthcare institutions to figure out the state's response and to get us to the point where we are now. And I think the same interdisciplinary approach is very similar to one that we believe in at DNR, particularly for an organization that has such a broad mission as ours to conserve and protect Minnesota's resources, to provide outdoor recreation opportunities, and to provide for the commercial use of natural resources. And so we're really looking forward to adopting new technologies and new ways to approach our work in these interdisciplinary matters, and to take our subject matter experts and our deep technical knowledge that we have and bring those folks together across the agency to ensure that we're finding the best outcomes and making the best decisions for Minnesotans and Minnesota's natural resources that we can. And then finally, as I've mentioned a couple times, we're really seeing this significant transformation in people's appreciation for getting outdoors. And I'm sure some of you could feel that if you went outside during the pandemic. It's, you know, stress and anxiety kind of melts and you see a lot more people than maybe you were used to seeing in this past year and a half. And I find this really interesting because when I started this job, as I said, in 2019, one of my top priorities was to help connect or reconnect Minnesotans to the outdoors because we kind of had this growing gap in sort of who we see as in Minnesotans generally and who we see in the outdoors community. And I thought that was really concerning for the future. Well, now, you know, and one of the things I would talk about was the health benefits of getting outside and the fact that there's actually new like medical research that will tell you of the, you know, physiological response of why getting outdoors is healthy. Well, okay, one global pandemic later, and we all figured it out without reading, you know, medical journals, because just instinctually when we went outside, because there was nothing else to do, we felt better. You know, we had some crabby mornings in my house with my freshman in high school son and me working in the same space, and so we instituted a rule. We had to take the dogs for a walk every morning in the park. We felt better, you know, just getting some physical exercise and starting our day in the park. So I think this presents a real opportunity for us to reinvigorate interest in the outdoors and to make sure that we are fostering stewards of the next generation and the next generation of natural resource professionals who are going to do this work that we're doing here today. And so one thing I want to leave you with, and it's a little bit of a challenge, and it's something I'm going to be challenging all Minnesotans to think about, and something that we're going to be working on diligently over the next year, is thinking about that future. And thinking about how we fund that future. Because the reality is the opportunities that we've all been able to use and experience over this past years in our outdoors, that didn't happen by accident. That happened because we have a history in the state of valuing our outdoors and investing in it. And we're not investing in it the same way that we have in the past. And this was very clear to me at the legislature this year when I fought very hard for funding just to maintain the same level of service that we had last year. Not the level of service that we want, the level of service that we had last year. And so we have launched an initiative to create a future funding framework, a framework that is forward-looking, a framework that will be sustainable and equitable, and we will be launching later this month some public input, and so I hope that all of you and other Minnesotans will choose to join us in both defining that vision of what is it that we want for our outdoors in Minnesota, and then how do we fund it, so we don't have to go back every 2 years and beg for money to fund what we had the previous year. So again, thank you so much for having me. It really was my pleasure to be here with you all, and I'll take questions, I think.
We got time for maybe one question, so if anybody has any questions.
Hi. I'm interested in just a resource availability. What would tie writing in with nature and nature appreciation? Are you aware of a curriculum or a specific program? I know it's broad, but what pops to mind?
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I think that some of the schools and academic institution, higher education, have some of those opportunities. The thing I'm coming to mind really quickly, immediately, which is not writing, is there's a group called Wildlife Forever, and they have a fish art contest, and it's not writing, but it's art, and they have kids at different grade levels do, it's an art contest of different species of fish, and I think that's a great way to learn about nature. Certainly writing is the same way, and I know there's schools that have those programs.
Thank you.
Let's give Sarah a round of applause. Can you wait 1 second, Sarah, thank you very much for your informative speech, and I do follow you on social media, and one of the things for our public servants I'd like them to know is she has on her social media website, Twitter, that it says she is a recovering mayor.
That's true.
Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and elsewhere. From literacy and peace to water and health, Rotarians are always working to better our world, and we stay committed to the end. In honor of your presentation, we will make a donation to My Very Own Bed, a local nonprofit that provides new beds to children moving into stable housing. My Very Own Bed gives a new bed, a set of sheets, blanket, pillow, mattress pad, and a stuffed animal, and book to children who might otherwise go without. So thank you very much for coming to speak to us. Have a great day, and thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, for taking the time to speak to us. You have a lot going on. Good heavens. Thank you for ensuring the wildlife. Thank you for enjoying what we so enjoy and for challenging us to be better stewards. Thank you, guests, for being here. Thank you, visiting Rotarians. Thank you for everybody that came and helped make this meeting possible. As our Rotary International President, Shikei Mehta, says, we're here to serve to change lives. And as I say, we can do that by re-engaging with Rotary. So to that end, if you want to re-engage, we have some things coming up. The Vocational Happy Hour next Wednesday at CW's. Our speaker next week is going to be Leigh Najarian, who is the Executive Director of the Minnesota Lyme Disease. That's not on there, that's August 5th. Then August 10th, Women in Rotary Social at Patty Ellingson Solheim's home. September 11th is our 3rd annual car show. Thank you, Josh Sprague, at the Herberger's parking lot. September 18th is Walk to End Alzheimer's at Target Field. Hopefully many of us can do that. October 2nd is the gala, Let's Dance. And then we have Camp Enterprise coming up on November 4th through 6th. As George Washington Carver says, nothing is more beautiful than the loveliness of woods before sunrise. Meeting adjourned.